The 27 Club has dozens of famous members, but it's not exactly the kind of club that you want to join. These are just some of the most famous people that lost their lives at the age of 27. She may have started out jazzy with her 2003 debut album Frank, but once she shifted into more soulful territory on Back to Black in 2006, Amy Winehouse went from being the talk of Britain to an international sensation. It seemed like you couldn't go a day without hearing Rehab on the radio. Although Winehouse's voice was a marvel, both her look and attitude regularly led to less than flattering press coverage. She also made more than a few headlines with her intense personal relationships and her tendencies toward excess. Tragically, it was the latter that ultimately led to Winehouse's death. After her body was found on July 23, 2011, the coroner's inquest revealed that her blood alcohol level was more than 5 times the legal limit for driving in the United Kingdom.
Oh, it's a bit upsetting at the end, isn't it?
Starting out as a soap opera actor on One Life to Live while he was just 6 years old, it was as a teen heartthrob that Jonathan Brandis found the greatest success of his career. He was the main character in the NBC series seaQuest DSV, played Bill in the miniseries adaptation of Stephen King's It, and acted in films like The Neverending Story 2, Sidekicks, and Ladybugs. When seaQuest wrapped its run in 1996, things began to slow down for Brandis. Even though he secured roles in Outside Providence and Ride with the Devil, his role in the Bruce Willis film Heart's War was virtually trimmed out of existence in the film's final cut. If that wasn't bad enough, his pilot, 111 Gramercy Park, failed to be picked up. Unfortunately, Brandis didn't wait out the acting drought or try to revive his career. He took his own life on November 12, 2003. Once you've written a song called I Hate Myself and Want to Die, no one can ever say they were completely blindsided by your suicide. Such is the case with Kurt Cobain, but it would be a disservice to dismiss him as just another rock star with a death wish. His contributions to music would be significant even if Smells Like Teen Spirit had been the only arrow in his alt-rock quiver, which it most certainly wasn't. Cobain had demons to spare, as well as chronic stomach pain. Although he found solace in making music and his relationship with Courtney Love, he wasn't able to keep the dark thoughts at bay.
I mean, it had been going on and building up for so many years that I was, suicidal. I mean, I just didn't want to live.
After leaving a Los Angeles rehab facility where he had been attempting to kick his heroin habit, Cobain flew home to Seattle and turned a shotgun on himself. He died on April 5, 1994. Kristen Pfaff first found regional fame as a member of the Minneapolis band Janitor Joe, but while playing a show with the band in California, Courtney Love and Eric Erlandson tried to sway her into becoming the bassist for Hole. It didn't work at the time, but she eventually came around. Unfortunately, while she was in Seattle to record Hole's album Live Through This, Pfaff developed a drug habit, but seemed to have kicked it by temporarily moving back to Minneapolis and entering a detox center in February of 1994. Clean once more, Pfaff left Hole for a time to rejoin Janitor Joe for a tour, and in the wake of Kurt Cobain's death, she made the decision to leave both Hole and Seattle behind for good. On June 16, 1994, the day before her reported departure from Minneapolis, Pfaff was found dead in her apartment of a heroin overdose. Any Mount Rushmore of guitar gods is woefully incomplete without Jimi Hendrix, who the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has called, quote, arguably the greatest instrumentalist in the history of rock music. That's why his death still makes music fans wonder what could have been if he'd lived past the age of 27. Frustrated by and disillusioned with the music industry, Hendrix wasn't in the best of psychological states in the final days of his life. Not only was he battling a recording contract dispute, contemplating leaving his manager, and dealing with the departure of bassist Billy Cox from his band, but he'd also been hit with a paternity suit and had been suffering from insomnia and writer's block. On the morning of September 18, 1970, Hendrix was so desperate for sleep that he took 18 times the recommended dose of the barbiturate Vesparax. It left him so incapacitated that he choked on his own vomit and died. Everyone knows Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, but when they began, the Rolling Stones were initially steered by Brian Jones. As bassist Bill Wyman put it in a 2002 Daily News interview, he formed the band, he chose the members, he named the band, he chose the music we played, he got us gigs. He was very influential, very important, and then slowly lost it, and just kind of wasted it and blew it all away.
You're one of the original members?
Yes, one of the original members.
What were you doing before you joined?
Well, just sort of bumming around waiting for something to happen, really.
As the Stones began moving in a more pop-centric direction, Jones grew more frustrated. He drowned his sorrows in alcohol and drugs, which led to further depression and dramatic mood swings that eventually resulted in his dismissal from the Stones. Even though Jones was reportedly in good spirits in his last days, his reckless streak ultimately got the better of him. On July 3, 1969, he was found at the bottom of his swimming pool, with the coroner ruling it a case of death by misadventure. Inspired by beautifully bluesy ladies like Billie Holiday and Ma Rainey, Janis Joplin quickly developed a reputation in the rock community for her powerful voice. As Richard Goldstein from Vogue wrote of her, she slinks like tar, scowls like war. Janis Joplin can sing the chic off any listener. Unfortunately, like many of her musical contemporaries, she found herself battling addiction. Despite blowing audiences' minds at the Monterey Pop Festival, Woodstock, and the legendary Festival Express train tour through Canada, Joplin's heroin habit was profound and her alcohol intake was just as bad. Although efforts were made to get her into rehab, she died of a heroin overdose on October 4th, 1970. "He's hot, he's sexy, and he's dead" was the headline of a 1981 Rolling Stone cover story about Jim Morrison. By that point, the lead singer of The Doors had been gone for over a decade, but you never know how long a rock star's legacy will last beyond their death. As it happens, Morrison may be even more popular now than he was then. As such, it's easy to forget that he's no longer walking among us, but despite conspiracy theories that have floated around for the past 45 years, he's definitely gone. On July 3rd, 1971, Morrison was found dead in his bathtub in his Paris apartment, the cause of death attributed to heart failure. The fact that no autopsy was performed has led to speculation about how he really died, but no matter what happened, his legacy still looms so large that it's like he never left. Few artists commanded celebrity like Jean-Michel Basquiat, a fixture of New York's neo-expressionist scene in the 1980s. His work was beloved by many, including the legendary Andy Warhol, who became his friend and creative collaborator. He wasn't just a painter, though. He was an icon known for including social commentary in his work. He had lots of brushes with other branches of pop culture, too, like his pre-fame relationship with Madonna and his appearance in the music video for Rapture by Blondie.
Actually, I have to say that I'm happy that I can do what I want to do and survive doing that.
Unfortunately, things weren't all positive for Basquiat. When Warhol died in February 1987, Basquiat sank into both depression and drugs. He ultimately overdosed on heroin on August 12, 1988. His work is still incredibly recognizable today, and his original pieces are known to sell for millions of dollars each. With credits including J.J. Abrams' Star Trek series, Terminator Salvation, and Green Room, Anton Yelchin was one of the most promising young actors in Hollywood during the mid-2010s. His career was tragically cut short after a fatal freak accident earned him a place in the 27 Club. On June 19, 2016, Yelchin got out of his Jeep Cherokee after parking it in his driveway and went to go check his mailbox. The car rolled back, pinning him against a brick pillar and a security fence. By the time Yelchin's friends went to his house to check on him, he had already died. The coroner's office declared his death to have been the result of blunt traumatic asphyxia. When Star Trek Beyond hit theaters a few weeks later, it was dedicated to Yelchin's memory. Derek Coleman, better known as Fredo Santana, was a rising star in Chicago hip-hop thanks to his 2013 debut, Trappin' Ain't Dead, several acclaimed mixtapes, and his hit single, Pass Me My Double Cup. Unfortunately, his success was short-lived, as he passed away at age 27 on January 19, 2018. Santana was working to popularize the drill genre, and he didn't just talk the talk when it came to drug use. Santana was addicted to lean, cough syrup mixed with soda, and chugged at dangerously high levels. This caused him some major heart and kidney issues, something he publicly displayed just months before his death. On October 12, 2017, he posted a video to his Instagram of his friends visiting him in the hospital. 3 months later, he was gone, with his official cause of death attributed to a seizure. Tributes flooded in from throughout the hip-hop world, but no one was more devastated than Santana's cousin, Chief Keef. Chance Perdomo was born in 1996 in Los Angeles, but did the bulk of his growing up in the UK. That's where he found his calling in theater, and eventually television and film. His first well-known role was Ambrose Spellman in Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, but he enjoyed a new level of fame when he was cast as Andre Anderson in The Boys spin-off Gen V. On March 29, 2024, Perdomo's life was cut short after he crashed his motorcycle. His publicist released a statement to Variety that read in part, "It is with heavy hearts that we share the news of Chance Perdomo's untimely passing as a result of a motorcycle accident. Authorities have advised that no other individuals were involved. His passion for the arts and insatiable appetite for life was felt by all who knew him, and his warmth will carry on in those who he loved dearest."
He was the brightest light and the most wonderful, kind, loving person.
The Minutemen are among the most beloved hardcore punk bands of the 80s, and their guitarist, D. Boon, was a huge reason why. An innovative guitar player who fused hardcore ferocity with folk, funk, and classic rock influences, Boon sounded like nobody else. He didn't write like anyone else either, crafting inflammatory yet amusing tunes like Bob Dylan wrote propaganda songs, Do You Want New Wave or Do You Want the Truth, and political song for Michael Jackson to sing. Boon was clearly having fun doing what he did. It's a shame then that it ended so quickly. On December 22, 1985, Boon was riding in a van in Arizona when it crashed, killing him. His death also brought an end to the Minutemen, long before their time should have been up. The Florida-based power pop band Surfer Blood formed in 2009 and quickly caught on with indie rock fans thanks to albums like Astro Coast, Pythons, and 1,000 Palms. Those records were driven by the bright, surf guitar-inspired 90s throwback-style instrumental work of one Thomas Fekete. He also released a single cassette-only album under his own name following years of prolific touring and recording with Surfer Blood, but health issues eventually forced him to step away from performing.
I actually woke up and my legs felt like they were burning, like almost on fire.
According to a GoFundMe fundraising page set up by the guitarist, Fekete underwent surgery in 2015 to remove a large abdominal tumor. Although the crowdfunding campaign was successful, Fekete's cancer went on to spread to his spine and lungs. In May 2016, his wife revealed that her husband had lost his battle at the age of 27. Harry Hains was a talented young performer just starting to break into the public consciousness, with appearances on popular TV shows like American Horror Story, The Deleted, and The OA. His most significant roles proved to be in independent films like The Surface, where he portrayed a young man in search of found family. Towards the end of 2019, the 27-year-old actor was working on a horror movie titled Clowns and the miniseries Extra Life. Behind the scenes, Hains struggled with addiction and mental illness. On January 10, 2020, his mother, Jane Badler, shared on her Instagram that her son had died a few days prior. She wrote, "A brilliant spark shone bright too short a time. I will miss you, Harry, every day of my life." Even if you haven't heard of the reggae act Inner Circle, you've definitely heard their song Bad Boys, aka the theme song from Cops. That wasn't their only hit though. Their single, Sweat, reached #1 on the music charts of a good handful of countries. Before that, the group was a sensation in the UK and France, where they ran up the charts with Mary Mary and Music Machine. The entire Inner Circle operation was built on the sweetly sung vocals and magnetic stage presence of the band's original lead singer, Jacob Miller. In March 1980, just after a trip to Brazil with friend and fellow reggae icon Bob Marley to open a branch of their record label, Miller was driving in Kingston, Jamaica. The 27-year-old musician reportedly dropped a piece of sugarcane he was chewing on, reached down to pick it up, and fatally crashed his car into a wall. Thuy Trang's career was brief, but it was also extremely memorable. In addition to roles in the 1996 movies The Crow, City of Angels, and Spy Hard, Trang originated a role on a long-running franchise that would make her an icon for a whole generation of American kids.
Hi, I'm Trini, and these are my best friends, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Trang became primarily known for playing Trini Kwan, the original Yellow Power Ranger from 1993 to 1994. In September 2001, Trang was set to serve as a bridesmaid in the wedding of her friend, Angela Rockwood. Both of them were in a car heading from San Francisco to Los Angeles, driven by another bridesmaid. The driver lost control of the car, swerved off course, and struck a rock face bordering the road. Trang died in the aftermath of the accident. Selected by the Arizona Cardinals in the 1998 NFL Draft, Arizona State defensive back Pat Tillman split his time between the free safety and strong safety positions in the pros. Playing 3 full seasons and much of a fourth, he was a tackling and intercepting machine for the Cardinals until he abruptly retired from football after playing 12 games in the 2001 NFL season. He quit in the wake of the 9/11 attacks to join the U.S. Army as part of the War on Terror, foregoing a $3.6 million contract to become an Army Ranger instead. While patrolling in a rural area of eastern Afghanistan in April 2004, Tillman was struck by gunfire and died from his wounds. The U.S. Army reported that Tillman's death was the result of an enemy ambush, and he posthumously received a promotion to corporal and was awarded a Purple Heart and Silver Star. A few weeks later, Tillman's family received word that the athlete-turned-soldier had died in a friendly fire accident, shot and killed by fellow American troops. Ron Pigpen McKernan was one of the founding members of the Grateful Dead. a singer, organist, and harmonica player who worked hard to establish the band as a pioneer in jug and blues-based rock. Unfortunately for him, the band didn't share that vision for very long. The group got heavily into LSD and began recording more psychedelic music, leaving Pigpen, a hard-drinking blues guy who didn't care for trippy drugs, out in the cold. By 1970, McKernan's drinking had begun to really affect him. It was hurting him so much that he had to quit touring. He couldn't stay away for long though, and was back the next year. By June 1972, however, he was completely done with both touring and the band. He simply couldn't operate anymore, and on March 8, 1973, he suffered an internal hemorrhage and died. He didn't last long with the Grateful Dead, but the band never would have taken off without him. Kim Jonghyun, simply Jonghyun to his fans, was a South Korean music superstar. The singer for pop band SHINee had been scoring as a solo artist, with his 2016 album She Is reaching number 4 on the Billboard World Charts. He had another album in the works, and was well on his way to becoming South Korea's answer to Bieber and Zayn. That all changed on December 18, 2017, when he was found dead in his apartment in Seoul. By all accounts, it was a suicide. According to Page 6, Jonghyun had been texting his sister alarming messages like, "I've had a hard time. Please let me go and say that I did a good job. This is my last word." Jonghyun's sister called the authorities, but he was already unconscious when they arrived. He had given himself carbon monoxide poisoning from heated charcoal.